the PE content exam covers the whole scope of child and child development. And so if you think about the job of a PE teacher and everything that a PE teacher actually has to know, it's quite a lot, because you are responsible for understanding the theories of normal human growth and development, the theories behind the different skill levels and movements that students have, that children have, and how to build on those skills as they continue to grow. Also, you're able to identify and be an added sort of prong of support for students that might be delayed developmentally or otherwise, because you have access to them as they are, and you know they should be developing in these ways as normal growth and development goes. So true is for middle school students experience different things are going on with their bodies. They have, like, the girls start having self-image, even the boys. I didn't realize this until I started studying pedagogy and instruction, and just like what sort of things might affect a student's ability to learn. And when boys are in that middle age group, and this is especially true for PE, because you're not with your baggy jeans hiding how flat, how skinny you are, and how you haven't hit puberty yet. Everybody's wearing the same stuff, and some people look really different. I taught junior high for like 13 years, and then I taught high school. There's a big difference between my 7th graders and actually one class, which is my most memorable class because I had them so many years. I taught them in 7th grade, and then I taught them freshman. I didn't have them 8th grade. I taught them freshman year and sophomore year, and then some of them had me senior year. So some of them had me for 4 years as an English language arts teacher, and they looked so different from when they were 7th grader. They were like little gorditos, some of them, and then they stretched out, and now they're all super tall and flaco. And so those insecurities that literally everybody has, and children have it even in middle school, are something to take into consideration, even for a PE coach. Obviously you wouldn't want to ridicule a student, that hasn't gone through a growth spurt, that is a little bit more gordito. It's a natural progression, and it will even out. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be, doing the aerobic exercises, and even if they struggle with it, to continue to, persist, which segues very nicely into the second leg, the sort of second overarching, and I'm going to look for it. Okay, here it is. The overarching, like the goals of the PE program. So physical education is the foundation of a well-balanced curriculum. And so it is an academic subject with a planned sequential kindergarten through 12th grade. Planned and sequential, that means from K through 12, it's building, and we're alluding to being able to do different things, all towards that same cohesive goal. Based on national standards. Physical education provides cognitive content and instruction to develop motor skills, knowledge, and behaviors for physical activity and fitness. Supporting schools to establish daily physical education can provide students with the ability and confidence to be physically active for a lifetime. And that's the goal of, like, nationally, it has to be the goal of every PE program. But even further, this is for Texas. Physical education for Texas is designed, in addition to what we just talked about, in addition to making sure that we are providing instruction, cognitive instruction. to develop skills, to develop knowledge of different sports, of different ideas, of different skills, and a love for physical activity. You are required to design motor skills, or to help develop the motor skills, the knowledge, behaviors for active living. These are the ones: physical fitness, sportsmanship. So that's something very important. Like, what, we're on a team, what, and let's say our team normally wins and now we're losing. How do we behave when, after winning for so long, we are now at a loss? And what does it say about us? Moving to that next one, self-efficacy, that ability to be effective of self. Like, if I'm slacking, I need to go and practice this drill, and take agency, be in control of oneself. And this last one is very important. And it's not just important for the sake of your exam, it's important for the development of them as a human. And I don't think that PE teachers get the recognition, especially those all the way through. I'm not going to say especially, all the way K through 12, whatever your coaching position is. A lot of emotional intelligence, and that's your ability to understand yourself, your own emotions, to understand your reaction based on your emotions, whether it's appropriate or not, what's an appropriate behavior, how to be a team builder, how to maintain relationships, how to overcome difficulty, right? Like, I'm not good at this right now. What does that mean? I can get better by doing particular things. And so that resilience, and for the purposes of your test, it's in a physical education classroom, but these skills are lifelong skills. That I read a research paper, and it was done by because I'm a big, like, my biggest thing in teaching is that we don't do enough social emotional intelligence. It's not it's mentioned in our standards, but it's not mentioned in any of our TEKS for any of the other content areas. So it's really on the, like, if the teacher wants to include it, she can do all that stuff. Everybody should be engaging in skill building with social and emotional intelligence, so that our students become more resilient learners, so that they become more friendly and sort of self-efficacy group members when they're doing group projects. And so I'm going towards the article that I read discussed all of these major corporations and companies that depend on having really competent experts in different fields. Let's say engineering, they're going to work together to engineer something. The people who own and spend all their money say, we don't care if they're the best at engineering. I mean, we care, we want somebody, but what we really care about is their social emotional intelligence. Can you work on a team with people and overcome, you know, because not everyone who is the best at a content or in their field has the emotional intelligence even to be a good teacher. If you don't have the emotional intelligence to say, okay, I shouldn't pick on a sixth grader that maybe had an outburst and try to have the last word, called me something, like called me gordo, and they're the one that's gordo. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're the teacher, you're not in junior high, you're the teacher of junior high. And so that's emotional intelligence. Nobody likes to be called names. And if the whole class laughs at you and there's 70 kids laughing at you, you might want to say, like, excuse me, but you can't. And we know that it's that students that are acting out like that, you know, they are most of the time modeling behavior that what they see at home, and however you respond to them is going to be another way. Oh, well, my coach called me this when I was little. Okay, that doesn't make it okay or right. And it continues this cycle of it's just unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? It's unnecessary. And then it perpetuates the cycle of unnecessariness. And we know that the kids in their development are able to be coached. And so that's the thing that I think PE teachers don't kind of, you know, teachers as a profession as it is, you guys are the real MVPs. Like, I hold you guys up there with veterans in your service for this country, because from teaching come all the professions, right? And you might not have always had amazing teachers, but you have those ones that invested in you that you think, man, like and it's those ones doing their job that sort of keep things afloat, keep things going. We need more people to be mindful of their lessons, mindful of the opportunities that they have with the students, because these students, it's like, we literally have the hardest job. We should be paid like, I don't know, rock star salary or something like that. But these students who are going to be doctors and lawyers and police officers and possibly criminals or whatever, we have a chance during their development to identify areas of need, whether it be their social emotional intelligence, whether it be their sportsmanship, whether it be their physical fitness, or their understanding of, health related concepts. We have them, and if they don't have an active lifestyle at home, it is our job to find ways to include their family in things, so that, because you do what you know, right? You do what you know until you know differently. And so showing them that certain, maybe not common activities can be super fun for the family to go do together. Like, I've been sore after bowling, like physically sore after bowling, because my dad was giving me tips and telling me to do all sorts of things. And, we had these long games, but bowling is a sport that you have to know about. You have to know about the sport of bowling. It is in your TEKS. You have to know about the sport of orienteering. And that's, do you know what orienteering is?
I got the gist of it, yes.
Yeah, good. You probably watched one of the videos, but that's like Naked and Afraid, but for kids in the schools. I didn't know what that was. Going through each of your sections of TEKS from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade with a fine-tooth comb and making notes. They're going to remain consistent K through 12 as far as our overarching. And you should try to think about that whenever you're reading the questions, like, what is this for? Is this for like physical fitness more? Is this more about fostering, because on the standards, if you'll look at them, one of your standards is to foster communication and a sense of wellness with the parents, because we understand that the students are going to model the behavior, and if we only have them for a limited amount of time, and that we might have a better chance of them adopting a healthy, active lifestyle if their parents begin to in it. And I'm sick right now, so I literally cannot have a super active lifestyle. But I used to be the tennis coach at my junior high, okay, and we were district winning. So I used to be really active, but right now I'm kind of sick, and so I haven't been given clearance to exercise. But when you don't have the ability to be active anymore is when you really start to like cherish that you're able to do that. And I don't know how to impart that on somebody, to someone, but certainly we have to try.
Yes.
And it's something that begins even at the kindergarten level. And so we won't read through all of this, but I'm going to take you to right here. Access to age-appropriate physical education equipment is essential to quality instruction. So for the purposes of your exam, every Texas exam is a theoretical exam. So in theory, this is what would happen because it's perfect. The student's going to take the feedback and make the corrections. The parents are on board. So they might give you an answer choice that says, Mr. Garza is trying to increase, family communication and parents' knowledge of wellness programs and activities for free within the community. Which of the following, answers would be most appropriate to achieve his goals? And the first one is, Mr. Garza should send a flyer home because most parents aren't active. It's never going to be negative, and it's always going to be, and that's true. Most parents are probably not active, but it's never going to say that. And that
Yeah.
should never be a limitation to you reaching out. So B, creating a meet the coach night at the elementary, and briefly presenting the free options and staying around to talk, you know, for the parents to look at the different you know, tools or equipment the student will be using, different skills that can help them in some of the, you know, parents like to know. So if you give a little presentation, let's say you're the elementary coach, and say this year, kindergartners, we're going to be working on balance. So parents, whenever you can, work on balance, on alternating foots or whatever, because that's something really easy. And tell them, do it with them, or have them do it with them during that parent night. And it's easy, and it takes core muscles, and it's not that hard. They'll laugh with each other because, you know, I'm 41 years old. And like I said, I used to be a cheerleader. I used to do a lot of things, and now I can't do anything. I park the furthest away at HEB, and I walk. The kids hate it. They're like, really, Mom? But I'm like, listen, this is my exercise, so just cut the crap. So I have to get my stuff in wherever I can under the radar. But you know, having them create that love and understanding that starting small, even with their kids, is fun. When I try to do some of these, and they have a lot of PE teachers use it. I forgot what it is. I think it's called Go Noodle, and you can access it on YouTube, but it's different aerobic exercises to like songs, some of them made up, some of them having to do with different like bone parts of the bone or whatever. And so like, this is the cranium, and like they do a little dance, and it's aerobic, and they're also learning like those health related things. And so sometimes the kids, because I'm a teacher and I'll do like whatever, and I know about it. I read that they were doing Go Noodle for certain things, and I did it with them, and I'm like tired halfway through. I mean, it's exercising, you know what I'm saying? So just getting them to engage with their child in that physical activity, in some of the things that we do with them. And actually, you know what, I'm just going to go to Go Noodle really quickly, because since we're in kindergarten, a lot of it is Go Noodle, a lot of it. So some look, emotions grow and shrink, ready to learn how emotions get bigger and they get smaller. So it even has social emotional learning, which I just am finding out right now. They're so great. But a lot of teachers use these as mini lessons. I know I've seen them used in a lot of PE classes, and I love it. So, oh my goodness, they've really been investing in this. Straddle scissor, partner, play a hopscotch challenge. And so there's a lot of stuff that you have to do with paired, you know, students have to learn to balance. And if we'll go, here's the paired, oh wait, this is the paired balancing stuff, or paired exercises. Here's the one the little kids can do, and they love doing it to see if they can balance and hold each other. And so you would have to use this appropriately. You might not start off with some of these with your kindergartners, like this right here, they might hurt themselves.
Yeah.
You know? But some of these you can certainly do, and to practice their fine motor skills. And we know that they develop you know, from the inside outward. And so they're not going to be super great at like dribbling the ball in soccer, or you know, throwing the ball in a spiral for football, or even something as little as an underhanded toss to like some bowling pins, right? Kindergartners might not be that accurate, even though the bowling pins might be kind of large because it's kinder and you're just doing it with the beanbag. But so getting them to build those muscles, how to, you know, do the correct form. Like there is a form to overhand throw. And the thing is on the PE exam, they will give you pictures like this, but it'll be incorrect. And they'll say, Mr. Garza's 6th grade student is having difficulty hitting, you know, the base, I don't know, the, what is it called? The catcher's glove accurately or whatever. Which of the following suggestions would be most appropriate for him to make to the student? And so you'd have to choose the right one. There was literally one like that because I took the new exam, the release test for it. So, but it was about running form, sprinting form. So they do ask you these. It's important that you go through the TEKS and all of the skills and or sports that are available, that you have a working knowledge of like the mechanics of it, basic mechanics of it. So for instance, there was a specific question about swimming. It asked for like breaststroke or one of the other strokes. And my daughter's on varsity swim, and she's been on varsity swim for 4 years. And like, the thing is, I have too many facts in my brain. It's on a need to know basis. So if I was gonna, and I didn't know that one. And so, and I didn't know they were gonna get that specific, but they did. I think I was able to like get the right one, hopefully. But they do ask specifics. They asked about doubles tennis, and what the score would be. And the rotation after the games, like I just lost this game, like what rotation is it, whose turn is it after a tied match. So understanding the basics, you can utilize and this is incorporating the letters, you know, with your name. And so this would be really cool sort of crossover exercise for some of your older kids, you know, and have them do it like at a station, like if you had stations or whatever and you were doing different things, it'd be cool for them to have like different. It would be unfair if your name was something like Stephanie, like mine, because it's 9 letters long and you'd have to do a whole bunch of stuff. But it is a very cool activity to get them to utilize spelling. You could do different things, like you could say like Happy President's Day or whatever, you know, and the kids would have to like try to see who can make it the furthest on whatever it is that you're doing, or maybe like Christmas or Santa. Let me see. Okay, so something important to note is that each of them, they're going to have these movement patterns, movement skills, the locomotor skills, and then you have non-locomotor skills. Spatial and body awareness. And this one is really important, sort of solidifying, especially in kindergarten, you know, when they're all in the gym and you're like, okay, hold your hands out, because if you're doing, and you're going to move over, but that self-efficacy, that self-reflection of like being mindful where my body is so I don't move over, and making sure we have enough space to do the movements, that body and spatial awareness, very important for them to begin to master in kindergarten, so that when we move to some of the other things, we have less injury. Pathways, shapes, speed, direction. So having them run back and forth, having them do little like obstacle courses, important, and also fun for them. They like it, and try to make it, you know, fun whenever possible, to music, because we don't want for it to be, and it has been, I've had PE experiences that were more sort of drill and kill, and there wasn't a lot of one moment, there weren't a lot of games, and I don't know if that's because I don't know why that was. But I really felt like it was a more of a dreaded thing, like the whole hour was going to be just conditioning and cardio, you know, and we do not want that for sure for PE classes ever. that sort of drill and kill where you dread PE. Like you want to go to PE, like you might have to sweat at PE, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to laugh, might do some, it's going to be a good time. That perception that gets solidified in our brain with physical activity, if it is negative and the kids hated elementary PE, they're going to go into high school and be junior high and be less jazzed about junior high stuff, and be less willing to try the sports, right? And because they don't feel that connection to it. It's just this thing I have to do. I don't really like it. We don't want that for our PE kids. And it often happens. And so, the way to get around that is to make it as engaging as possible. And we do that by knowing our audience, right? And a lot of teachers used to say, when I started teaching, it was 2003. And so when I started doing my preparation, and at that time, we didn't have the internet like we do now, like at all. Like it wasn't like we didn't do it at all. Like I had the old school grade books that you had to write it down. If someone new came to your class, you either had to start the whole thing over again, or if they left, I used to irritate me to have to put lines if people transferred and went to another class. I'm like, in my grade book, because it wasn't easy. Anyway, now it's different. We're able to do so much more to be engaging with our students. And that said, we also have learned so much in that amount of time that there's been changing, that you actually do have to cater to your audience in order for them to learn. Like science literally has told us over 20 years, more than that if I don't feel like I'm part of this thing, I'm not going to really engage in it in a way. If I feel afraid of it, I'm not going to really engage. Nobody likes to feel incompetent. Nobody likes to feel like literally nobody, and this includes K through 12, nobody likes to feel like a failure. And so learning to support the students to where they progress and feel good is really important, and catering to their interests. If you work at a small, most of the kids in my first junior high that I worked at came from a colonia in far San Juan Alamo. And so most of them listen to like Tejano, corridos, all that stuff. And so if that PE coach, when playing music, was playing all the hits from, that he likes to listen to, or maybe the 100 hits on the radio, for it mattered, and the kids liked it, is my point. Like he knew, they listened to this, said, hey sir, my dad listens to this, like we listen to this at home, and he's like, yeah, it's a good song, right? And then they're there doing their little thing that little element of their cultural connection, just by you paying attention to who we have here and who my audience is, and making that learning environment a little bit more tailored to the person that is there. If they are an urban inner city, then you wouldn't play corridos, you know what I mean? And so it matters for you to assess the skill level of your students, right? Where are they at and where do they need to go? And their interests, their different cultures, and because you're going to have so many students. And always remember that coaches are, I feel like, even though they are not in the organizational chart of a school, they're not administration, there is an unwritten rule as to who is important on this campus. And I'm not saying that PE teachers are more important. However, there is something, and it's the whole, hey, I'm also instructing you on how to be an actual human. Like, we don't do that to each other. We don't call each other names or this and that. Whenever the teacher needs the students to do better, she contacts the coach and the kids listen to the coach. There is this leadership role that PE teachers have, in addition, that's extra to just being an educator. It's like right underneath an assistant principal, you know, that you have. And so the coach's behavior, our behavior on and off the fields is so important, because that's like one of the higher ups, and they get a lot of their skills, interaction with other students, with people with less skills, and they begin to mimic those same things. If the coach is sort of giving feedback only if you're doing things terribly wrong, and it's negative in a way that's like, you know, sort of like just calling you out, but it doesn't give you specifics on how to get better, I can bet all my money that they're not going to get better, and they're probably going to have a negative reaction to something like this. And people who are watching thinking, yeah, I thought the same. He's took him, I don't know how much longer. And then after school, they're saying, hey, I saw how long you took. The coach laughed at you or whatever. That's why you need to hurry up. And so it's perpetuating this and validating this unnecessary, like, listen, nobody's trying to be Usain Bolt up in here. Like, we're all trying to get a little bit better. Another thing that's really important for PE teachers is to do the things, because they need to see you doing things correctly. The footwork, throwing, and if there's confusion, redoing it, reteaching, showing them what that appropriate movement, what that appropriate skill is, and making sure that our feedback, whether it's positive, like let's say somebody does something, you think it's beautiful, you say, if I were to say, oh my goodness, that was beautiful, but I didn't give any specifics, then the people who are watching practice might not get any benefit to that beautiful shot that you just made. But if I said, oh my God, that serve was beautiful, did you see how you followed all the way through to your toe? Excellent. Like, so now everybody's listened and saw. That's what happens when you follow all the way through. So making sure that your feedback is super specific, whether it's negative or positive, that you're giving, that it's instructional, right? To those who maybe don't have that and need that particular skill. And if you're giving it sort of like on the critical feedback side, that you're not just saying, oh man, what was that serve? Instead of saying, you didn't follow through. Did you see that? How you stopped up here? And that's why I went in the net. You didn't follow all the way through. Did you notice that? So so they know exactly, and they follow all the way through. It is a specific feedback that is corrective to the motion or the behavior or the skill, so that they can progress, and you're not just being a bully out there, like, you know, being this like critical person that's in a leadership and place of respect, which is why, again, PE teachers so important. A PE teacher can turn someone's life around. They have a coach, maybe they don't have a good home life, maybe they don't have a good example of what social emotional learning is, but this coach says, I know you can do this. And you know what? Bring me your schedule, bring me your progress report, because I want to look at it. I don't care that you just in my class, I want to see all of it and look at it. And, you know, being that person who sees them for the human that they are, and believes in their greatness, because all of our kids have the ability to be great. They just haven't met someone that told them, oh my God, you're so great. That's amazing. Instead of just saying, well, what did you do there? So building these kids up and it's a big ask for PE teachers in the motion, in the physical sense, in the social emotional sense, and in their like psyche, like how they view physical education as they move when they leave us, because we don't get to dictate how often they run or get aerobic activity after 12th grade, and even before that, because to be honest with you, they don't have to take, and many will not. If there were better PE programs, we would have more students continuing PE as a class, as an elective, after it's not a requirement anymore, or playing a team sport where that activity is still going. But as it is, and having worked on a high school for like 8 or 9 years, I'm familiar with students only taking it enough, many of them, unless they were on a team sport, they didn't continue with PE. And that's because it just wasn't fun. We just got out there and the coach just makes us run laps for the whole 45 minutes. I don't want to do that. And they didn't do anything. They certainly didn't do orienteering, you know, they didn't do any of that stuff. So we need to make sure that even the PE classes at the high school level, that we are trying to introduce them to sports that are uncommon, outside of the box, things you can continue to do. Take bowling as a high school class. I wish they'd had bowling at my high school. I would have taken that so fast. I would have been on the bowling team. I take it pretty serious now. Okay, so let me see. We're gonna end our session in a little bit, but do you have any particular questions for me?
Not necessarily, to be honest.
Okay, you know what you need to do, right, for the next attempt?
Yeah, I just failed it by 5 points. I was like, oh.
I know. So I would continue to watch the videos that you haven't finished, if there's any,
Okay.
and make sure that you are familiar again with those uncommon sports that we are supposed to be introducing to our students. And you'll find them here in the TEKS, because the kids, we're supposed to be teaching them. And so if they need to know it and be able to do it, we need to be able to we need to know it and be able to instruct them on how to do it better. So like sprinting, or you know, the butterfly, what is it called?
Technique.
Yeah, the butterfly technique. So yeah, that's it. If you do that, you're going to be good to go. Always remember the overarching goals for PE and sort of frame that. You want to be building changing physical lives. I mean, obviously we can't hope to change the whole community, but a couple of parents every year that get a little bit, that's progress, you know, that their whole family benefits. So that's the goal. And if everybody's doing it, then it can be done, you know. And that's about it. I will tell them to open your exam so that you can register for it, and then let me know if you need anything else. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Great. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. You have a beautiful rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for being a teacher.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.